ready for it? You think he's ready for it? Nope. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you the best method that I have found for using the F-16's radar. As you've climbed the ranks in War Thunder, I'm sure you've noticed that most planes have radar, and as you get to the higher tiers, radar starts to function like for locking or searching for targets, and helping you engage targets at higher aspects with missiles, so you can shoot missiles without pointing your nose directly at the enemy. Now for my control setup, I effectively have two methods of controlling the radar. One focused on the WASD keys for aiming my radar and slewing to an enemy, and lastly locking it. My setup on the number pad allows me to do all those things, including increasing the range of the radar and increasing the width of the search range on the radar as well. While I do recommend you set both of these up, it's totally fine if you only set up one method and just bind all the buttons in that area. And I just want to say thank you to Wes for going over some of this stuff with me. Alright, so I'm going to try to make this all as simple as possible because it is a lot to take in, and it takes a little while to get used to actually using these things. There are two settings you're going to need to switch inside of your options.
Cyclic switching of aircraft radar. Set this to no.
So just CYC. Okay, what does that do? So cyclic switching of aircraft radar is basically a fancy way of saying we give you a cursor on your radar if you turn the setting off. Without the setting, you don't have a cursor and you're not able to individually select targets. So it's pretty important. So for the second setting, you
type in rectangular, and you want the use rectangular radar indicator. Set this to yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is how you get the big old fucking square chunky radar.
So this one's pretty simple. Your default radar is represented as a cone. Selecting this setting allows it to be represented as a square. I don't know how else to really explain it, but it is how it is represented in the plane in real life, and it's much easier to use. Okay, for the next part, we're going to be moving on to the actual radar controls itself. So the first control we're actually going to go ahead and bind is the move your cursor up, down, and left, right. And actually, to make this a lot easier, if you go into your controls and just type in the word radar, everything you need to actually bind should be represented right in front of you. So this is where the control scheme is going to differ depending on what part of the keyboard you're doing it on. But the first one I'm going to show you is the Alt modifier. So go ahead and click on vertical radar / IRST target Q control access. And the horizontal one is going to be for your left and right movement. This one's going to be for your up and down. Your maximum value is going to be up and your minimum value is going to be down. So what I recommend for maximum value is Alt and W, and then Alt and S for your minimum value. Your horizontal is going to be Alt and D for maximum value and Alt and A for minimum value. With that done, you should be able to move your cursor around your radar, but you're still going to need to be able to lock targets. So back into your settings, you're going to look for lock radar / IRST on target, and you're going to go ahead and make that Alt and Shift. Now on your screen is those exact same controls represented on the number pad, and at this point this is where I stop using modifiers on the WASD keys and start only using the number pad. And the main reason I leave these controls on the number pad is these can be done not in the heat of battle and more so at a distance, and it allows us to not have the WASD space so cluttered with controls, as it is already War Thunder and we have a ton of controls around that area. So the first control we're going to go over here is the change radar scope scale, and what this is going to do is just change your search range for the radar. By default it should be on the lowest setting, and then you're going to want to increase that in battle to be able to see people farther out. This control I have bound to plus on the number pad. This is probably where preference will take over. Whatever's free and you think is easy to hit for you, I would go ahead and bind that. The second setting is the change radar search mode. I have that bound to 7 on the number pad, and what this allows you to do is search a wider range to be able to see targets farther off to your left and right. And then sometimes the narrow view is better because it scans faster because it has less distance to scan. So these things will be decided based on the combat situation that you're in and where and how your targets are approaching you. Now last but definitely not least is the within visual range combat mode, and this basically puts your radar in a mode that floods just an area out in front of you in a square box that's represented on your screen, and all you have to do is point that at an enemy to lock them up, and its range only goes out to about 19 kilometers. So once you get to that range, I do recommend generally just using this mode. This mode is actually very important and you will be using it a lot. I recommend that this key gets its own standalone button. For me, I have this bound to X, and it's something that I use all the time. before we get moved on, here's the final rendition of the controls. This has all the controls, including the number pad, and I've also included a middle mouse button for the lock target, as it can help you lock and unlock a target sometimes in a pinch. One piece of advice I can give you about the F-16's radar is that it doesn't really like to see a whole lot of what it's not pointed directly at, so definitely keep the nose pointed towards where you're searching the whole time, as it may not pick anything up unless you're looking pretty close to directly at it. Now this video is just a setup guide for the radar, but go ahead and subscribe because I will be pushing out another video on how to use the radar best and how to use the missiles and the aircraft most effectively. Well, make sure you like the video and comment if you have any questions. Me or somebody else will be able to help you in the comment section. In the meantime, here's some clips of me killing some stuff with the radar. Alright, so I do have a radar on me. Shit. He's all I got. So I'm not gonna have him locked, but I'm gonna keep him on radar for just a little bit longer. There we go. He's right where I want him. Then I'm gonna notch out on him. I think he realized there is a missile on him. That missile's moving pretty damn fast and should be able to deal with him, but it's just him up here, I think. Let's make him think he's defending against another radar missile. That missile's not going to be able to touch him, but I got him defensive as hell. He's like shit in the bed right now. Oh my god. So cyclic switching of target switch cyclic switching of aircraft radar is basically a fancy way of saying we give you a cursor on your radar if you turn the setting off.